Rage 2 allows itself to be a straightforward, no-nonsense, action-packed shooter. It's quite good, it's quite entertaining. It's not massively memorable, it doesn't reinvent the wheel or anything, but the guns all feel incredibly satisfying to use. They're heavy hitting, the shotgun is still a devastating piece of equipment as it was in the original Rage. You know, so capable of blowing enemies apart or thrusting them like wild distances away from you if you aim down the barrel. All of that's great. You've got a suite of superpowers that you build upon and upgrade as you continue playing the game. You can zip around the map, you can thrust yourself towards enemies and send them flying with your fists. Lots of great stuff to play with. A ton of upgrades as well. From your weapons, to your guns, to your special powers, to your basic stats. There's lots of stuff to collect, lots of stuff to build up, lots of stuff to improve upon. And that's all fantastic. The trouble is, even though there is a ton of combat in this game, it feels few and far between, because it's spread out across this largely dull, empty wasteland of a map. And, you know, I get that it's set in a wasteland, but that doesn't mean it has to be dull. Unfortunately, a lot of this game is spent driving awful cars. I'll get to those in a moment, but the driving is terrible in this game. And when you get to a location, any new location where there's some combat, you fight for a bit, and then you spend the rest of your time in that location looking for these bloody things. Looking for little crates with pink lids, because the game has padded itself out with so much collectathon garbage that it ends up quite boring. Every location you go to, if you're someone like me, who while you're there at a place, you want to complete it, especially if the game has a little set of numbers up in the top left corner of the screen that tells you exactly what is here and what you'll be leaving behind if you leave the location. And if you're someone like me who, while you're there and you're being given that information, you want to make sure you complete it because you never know when you'll be back here. It's an open world game after all. Well then, look forward to ending every intense combat sequence with a disappointing bit of scavenger hunting. And that doesn't even include the missions that you do need to do to complete objectives that are just scavenger hunts, like run around this nest finding mutant eggs, run around this pit stop finding fuel tanks. So much looking around for shit, and it gets so on your bloody nerves. Now, if you want to have any sense of fluidity with this game, I would recommend ignoring the collectathon crap. But like I said, if you're like me, you're going to find that a little bit disturbing to do. It's going to prey on your mind that you're leaving content on the table, especially because those crates contain resources. But they are helpfully highlighted on the map in pink, in a game that uses a lot of pink. Do you get where I'm driving at with that? Anyway, I've included this bit of dialogue just to show you how else the game wastes your time. This is a side objective. It's not really pertinent to any major story stuff. It's just a mutant nest. There are loads of these around the map. But for some reason on this mission, this guy's decided to just talk and talk and talk and talk before I could go do the mission that I turned up to do. And he doesn't stop. He just goes on and on and on and on with nothing interesting to say. This isn't plot pertinent. But I decided to let that play out in full for you, just to show you. That is pretty much dealing with any NPC. You find yourself, even again, if you're someone like me who likes to listen to everything the game puts out there, you don't like to skip cutscenes or skip dialogue. I was skipping dialogue for some of this. You're not missing much. It's kind of embarrassingly written, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. The dialogue is awful. Cheesy, dreary rubbish. Especially when it tries to be funny and edgy, or when it tries to be like Borderlands. Because Borderlands itself isn't consistently all that funny. But this is like a less funny Borderlands, some of this dialogue. And it sucks because you go to like a town. The game has different settlements throughout the map. And whereas in many games, my friend Gavin pointed this out to me, Gavin Miracle of Sound, Gavin Dunn, pointed this out, like you go to a town in any other open world game or an RPG or you know, even an action game like this, and you expect cool stuff to be there. You're looking forward to exploring it, talking to all the different NPCs, finding new quests. Here, it's just really dull NPCs with not a lot of interesting things to say. And that's it. That's it. The towns feel lifeless. Characters just stand around, milling about, not really feeling dynamic or lively. It's disappointing. But like I say, when the actual shooting is going on, that's fine, but it wastes your time and breaks up the pacing. Like here, like you complete any mission, and then the game pauses to show you that the mission is completed, and then it pauses a second time right after to show you a progress bar for something. Some nebulous thing that you might not even, depending on the order you do the game in, you might not even know what that progress bar means. Also, when you try and smash crates, even if you're right on top of them half the time, they don't fucking smash. And you'll get bored of that and just end up shooting them and waste your bullets on them. It sounds like I'm doing a lot of complaints for a game that I do admit is good in many places, but that's what playing Rage 2 is like. It's this constant feeling that you're playing a good game, but also being annoyed all of the time by little things. And the little things are so consistently annoying and so frequently annoying that the entire game becomes one large annoyance. Yeah, it's a shame. I was looking forward to this game a lot. Obviously, I'm a big fan of id's work. Doom was a masterpiece, was Doom 2016. And of course, this game has been compared to that a lot, but it just doesn't compare. When you're in a tighter environment with well-placed enemies, a location that's been properly crafted, it feels pretty good. But it's frequently, the pacing is broken up by all the scavenger hunt crap and all of the other little annoyances. But all of this stuttering and stopping and starting and slowing the game down to a crawl just damages the fluidity to an irreparable degree. And that's why it differs from Doom, because Doom feels like this constant flow. And that Doom benefits from having tightly controlled environments, a more linear sense of progression. This is the game that demonstrates not everything has to be open world, and in some cases open world can harm the fundamental aspects of the game, or certainly diminish the enjoyment one might have. The way this game plays, the stylish way in which its combat is set up, lends itself to smaller environments with corridors and rooms for combat, and there's just not enough of that in this game. A lot of it is just wandering around looking for shit to do, and there's a lot of shit to do, but like any modern open world game, it's a lot of recycled content, a lot of I say recycled content, recycled objectives. For those of you who are following Bandit Camp Watch 2019, absolutely there are bandit camps in this game. They're in every bloody open world AAA video game now. Bandit camps, enemy camps, bandit dens as they're called in this. Either way, it's just camps with enemies in. And whereas in many other games I'm sort of bored when I see that, to this game's credit, I at least get a bit excited when I see a bandit camp just because I know there will be some good combat there. And I won't, for example, fight all my way to an arc, which is where you get upgrades, and then have to watch a tutorial for something utterly mind-numbingly stupid. Like, for example, you've been playing the game for an hour with an assault rifle, you know damn well how to shoot a gun, And then after an hour of playing, you find an arc with a shotgun in it, and the game stops and thinks, oh, hold on, this person who's been playing the first-person shooter for an hour might not know how to shoot in this first-person shooter that he's been playing for an hour. It's incredibly patronising, and if you've never played an FPS before, perhaps, maybe all of these tutorials have a point. But if this is the very first FPS you've played, stop and find a better one to play. It's not that this is inherently bad, but this shouldn't be anyone's first FPS by a long shot. Go play Doom. Go play literally any Doom, even the ones people don't like so much.
That is the Smart Rocket Launcher. It fires nanotrite-propelled rockets, which cause a large radius of damage.
It's a fucking rocket launcher! I know how to use a rocket launcher! Jeez, you point at something and blow it up! Oh yeah, vehicles, I said I'd get round to them, hate those. It's like friction as a concept hasn't been invented in the universe of Rage. They slide about, they skid around, turning, even trying to do, handbrake turns, absolutely sucks. There are races in this game, I hate them. It's bad enough trying to just drive normally, let alone trying to race against others. You take your life in your hands if you're driving near any cliffsides, you could slide over those, no bother. So that's horrible, and that's of course the way you get around the world, so that's a bit of a shame, isn't it? But the whole thing is a shame, because like I said, the actual shooting is absolutely fine. It's great, and I wish it was more consistent. I wish there wasn't this lengthy cooldown of not engaging or entertaining gameplay at all in between all of the fun combat, but there is, and that sets the entire tone for the game, and the tone is a bit pants. It's a fundamentally good game that has been systematically made less good by a number of design choices, deliberate choices. Nothing is badly made, badly put together. On a technical level, it's great. It runs fantastically. It looks nice. It's got pretty colourful pink visuals, which I'm always fond of. It's all deliberate design. It's all people who thought, this will be fun to do. This slidey vehicle that gives the Mako from the original Mass Effect a run for its slidey, soapy money. Oh yeah, that's fun to control. Oh, people love wandering around a base they've just cleared out, looking for little boxes with pink lids. That's great. And it's not, is it though? It's not fun. It's not fun gameplay to wander around looking for something, especially when you're down to one thing to look for and it's in a giant sprawling base. It's not fun to stand there listening to NPCs who are badly written talk for like a minute or two before you can do the bit of shooting combat that you explicitly came to that area to do. It's not fun to wander around plastic-feeling settlements and towns where the characters are more like animatronics than people, just doing their one little routine, with nothing engaged, nothing worth stopping and looking at. They do nothing for you to want to look at them or engage with them or engage with the world. The lore is such bog standard post-apocalypse fare, right down to the fact that there are mannequins with television sets on their heads in the bases. There's one right there. That's actually really good timing. It's all fucking mannequins and garish colours and nothing you haven't seen before. It's all, look at us, we're trying to be Fury Road. But like I said, the shooting's good. I keep coming back to that because it is good. But if you feel like I keep stopping saying that to get to something else, that's because the game itself keeps stopping its own good gameplay to get to something else that doesn't matter and no one bought the game for. No one bought the game for this. They bought it for the shooting, for the blowing stuff up, for the Andrew WK party. And I should say, this game never has that sort of party atmosphere, even at its most intense, at its most combative. No, it's not some wild party time, it's just a lot of shooting and blowing things up. It doesn't have that sense of humour or balls-to-the-wall mania that commercials might lead you to believe it has. I won't say it's false advertising, but it is insincere advertising. Oh, and by the way, if any one of the comments says, oh, well, you missed a box right there, to try and make a point about me talking about the Busywork, yeah, probably have. I probably have, because at times Rage 2 is just so mind-numbing. Your brain falls away. You end up missing stuff because your eyes glaze over trying to find the pink among the pink. For some, the actual good qualities of Rage 2 will be enough to put up with all of the bollocks. But for me, it's just not. Sorry, it's just not worth it. I can play FPSs that get me to the action quicker and more consistently than this game does. And now I'm going to go back to playing A Plague Tale, which is actually very compelling.